Welcome to another episode of the Soothing Semantics podcast. I am your host, Rafi Pinsky. As always, make sure to follow me, Rafi the Realtor, for all of your South Florida real estate needs. Sign up to my weekly newsletter to stay in the know of everything going on in South Florida. This week, we have another Heb, a guy who wrestles, he does martial arts, he owns a bunch of businesses. He has a very interesting story, and I knew that this was going to be a very natural and fluid discussion. I know this before we even sat down, based on the conversation we had, and he knows where to buy a good chicken salad and some sushi. So I knew we were going to be buddies after that. So today we have Nati on the show. By the way, I don't even know your last name. I'm terrible.
It's Schnitman, not Schneidman.
With a T.
Schnitman, yeah.
Schnitman, yes. Okay. So Nati has skincare companies, financial companies. He owns a lot of firearms. So a lot of firearms, a lot of pieces, all kinds of pieces. So without further ado, welcome to the show, my friend. Nice to have you.
Thank you, Rafi.
We had a l'chaim beforehand. I think we should have a l'chaim.
Let's do it one more time, for sure. It's always good to meet. Cheers, man. Strong Jews. I love it.
How do you say l'chaim in Russian?
So there's different words like Nazdavoy and stuff, but we just don't say. We usually just toast, but we don't say just l'chaim. So we say a toast. There's actually a quote from a classic Russian movie, but they say like a l'chaim without, or sorry, they say a toast without a l'chaim. It's like a bridal night without a bride. So we don't say the word l'chaim, but we say a toast before the actual cheers. So
Kashu.
Okay. Yeah. So cheers.
Either way, cheers, l'chaim. Cheers. Some good Blue Label. Nati doesn't cheap out on the booze. I appreciate you for that, bro.
I'm excited. I've seen, I don't know how many tons of podcasts, and I had millions of conversations, but I've never had an actual podcast. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I don't have any experience in this. I hope I do a good job, but
it's gonna be great, bro. It's gonna be great. So let me start with this. You have this very ambiguous, when I first meet you, it's like, are you Israeli? Are you Russian? Are you this? Are you that? I'm trying to figure out what you are. When I went to your social media, it seems like you're Gruzini. Is that accurate?
No, I've been to Georgia. I love Georgia. It's my favorite country to visit, actually. I go there. I just spent a week last summer. And I've been a couple times before.
I'll come to think of it, Schnitman, no, it would have been like Schnitnashvili.
Correct. Yeah. I'm a mix. And there's actually, growing up, I thought I was only one of a kind. And as I grew up older and came to Miami, I found out there's a few of us that have the same family path as me. I am Ashkenazi Jew. My great-grandparents were from Ukraine and Belarus and, all of the Soviet countries. When the war started, the men went to the front to fight, and the women, there was a big evacuation from the front lines. So they ended up in it's called Central Asia, all the stands, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, all the stands. And then for a few generations, my family grew up there. So they stayed Ashkenazi Jews and married Ashkenazi Jews, but they adopted the cultures. So a lot of the wrestling, a lot of the stand qualities. That's where we came from. Yeah, that's. I thought that was only one of a kind. American, Russian, Israeli, but there's actually a bunch of us just like that. I've met a few guys that are Israeli, Russian. Their parents came from Kazakhstan. One of my good friends, Danny, is like that. Another Danny is like that. Half Dagestan, half Uzbekistan, Ashkenazi mixed with Sephardi. So yeah, there's a bunch of people like that. The Jews that moved and migrated because of the war, and they have very similar qualities. We always joke around about our parents and how we were brought up. They have similar upbringings.
Everybody just got hit with a belt. That's all you know. You're related.
That's the bare minimum. That's like the start. The belt is like the belt, and then much.
A broken table leg.
Okay, a few. We call it chapalach. A few slaps around. Strict parents, strong parents. At that time growing up, I thought it was like a pain in the butt. I was like, I wish my parents were different. But now, knowing what I know now, being a parent myself, I think it was a blessing in disguise to have a strong father.
A lot of people saying that after the fact, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. After the fact.
Right.
the belt, the whips are.
I wasn't, so me personally, I grew up with my grandmother. She didn't hit me, but she yelled. I mean, there were a couple of times. First time I got really wasted, she slapped me a couple of times to wake me up. But I was afraid enough of her. I was enough of, but I know that friends I have that were gotten the shit beaten out of them, they did say that in certain respects they appreciated it, which, some do, some don't, but.
Yeah, I think that it depends. I have 3 kids, and my kids are very different. So if saying to hit your kids is very general. If they deserve, you hit them. If they don't deserve, you don't have to hit them. So, my brother was like the dream kid. He never got hit. He was a good kid. He was, listening. He was following, my parents' guidance and stuff, and I wasn't. So they needed to. I really thank them now because I'm really proud of how I feel like I turned out, and how my family that I built turned out based on my parents' values. And I know that if I had my, personality and my energy without that strong guidance, it could have been easily a drift off to the wrong activities, the wrong friends. I mean, I don't know. I don't like to talk too much about my past because I think it's I'm not really proud of everything, but at the same time, I'm proud of what it turned out to be. So
fair. So let's get into a little bit maybe prior to the businesses, right? Were you living in Israel? Were you living in a European country? Were you living in the States? Because you're American, but you also have the Russian and the Hebrew and everything. So prior to the first business you started, because I want to get into what the first business was, what were you doing, let's say, a year or two before? What country you were in? What were you up to? Were you in college? Were you in, what were you?
Yeah, I'll explain. So I was born in Israel, but I grew up in a small town that received a lot of refugees and immigrants from the Soviet Union. So I spoke Russian. Russian was my first language. I spoke mainly Russian.
Which city was it?
Mitzpelman, in the south. And I think I told you. Mitzpelman, and Mitzpelman had a neighborhood that was like designated to receive all the Russian, the Soviet immigrants, and all my friends were Kavkazi and Bulgarian and Russian. So
my Leskinka is shit.
I'll teach you. I'm okay with it.
Leskinka is good.
Yeah, I mean it's so great. Depends on how much I drink. Like if I watch the video when I'm drunk, like, well, I get some moves. But
I have two buddies that are Kavkazi. I know a few Kavkazis, but 2 friends that actually are good at Leskinka.
Yeah, no, I'm not good.
They took classes when they were younger.
Yeah, a lot of people do. My friends that are Kavkazi, like not like Sephardi Kavkaz, fire. They're like next level. I just play rough. I just think it's pretty cool.
Dad, when you're good at it, when you're kind of half-assing it, and you don't really know how to do it, it's whatever. But if you know how to dance Leskinka and there's a whole crowd around you, and the women are doing their little thing, and then they'll just pop in. Yeah, man. Because I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up right near.
It's a very powerful dance. If you like in general the Caucasus and Georgia, the reason I like all of this area, is because it really aligns with my values and with like their energy. They're very powerful. Even the dance, it's like a very powerful dance. The moves are very sharp. They teach you. I've seen some videos. Like they teach you how to make very sharp, fast, like twitch moves. Like and they even instructed that. Listen, this is not ballet. This is not like Latin dancing. This is like, and it just shows that those people, came through so much struggle and hardships, and it's more than just a dance. It's like you see like their whole life path and their mentality, right? Those moves. So
they're tough people. They grow up in a tough region. It's there's lots of respect about whether they're Jewish, Muslim, or Christian. People from the Caucasus, like the Caucasus people.
I was never there in the Soviet Union. I was born in Israel, but my dad, like growing up, my dad would always tell me we grew up in one neighborhood. We're all Soviet people. With Jews, with Muslims, with Russians. We had like a bunch of different nationalities. And we would go and we'd fight the kids from the next neighbor. And there was a Jew and a Muslim and a Christian and a Russian and a Ukrainian fighting another Jew and a Christian. And he's like, we never cared. We never had this issue ever. And only in the past, like after the Soviet Union collapsed and like the whole, agenda, which I don't want to get too much into politics because I don't know whose agenda it is. I just feel like there's an agenda to divide the people. And the Caucasus, when I was there, I had great respect. I've never, even in my own country, in my own home, I feel at home, but I've never seen people where their entire life is about respect. Their entire life is about treating guests right. Or, like if you come to if you meet one great person, that's nice. But if you meet 30 different people and they're all great for one place and they all have the same qualities, you're like, well, this place is really special. And that's the experience I had in Georgia. Like just every person I met was just an amazing person.
I've always wanted to go.
I highly recommend.
Always wanted to go. I had two friends. They were brothers.
Yeah.
Same age. It's funny. There was one who was like 6'4", 6'5". Still, but
One short.
no, the other one wasn't short. The other one's also like 6 foot 6'1". Big guys. Their father is this just big, scary looking guy. But it's funny because the taller one, not that he's not a tough guy, but he was a little bit more easygoing. The shorter one was the wild one. I remember in high school, he just punched a hole straight through the wall.
Yeah.
Good guys. I still know. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but good dudes.
I have the way that I got. So the first time I went to Georgia is just because I had a trip that was canceled in Europe with my family.
Yeah.
And then that was just the next destination from Israel. A lot of Israeli people fly to Georgia because it's just close. It's a 2-hour flight. You have a lot of decent price hotels and lifestyle and stuff. So it's a nice trip, but I had a great time. I love Georgia. But the second and the rest of the times that I went is because I had these guys. I was just on the phone with them right before we got on the podcast. I had these guys that an employee, a Georgian girl that used to work for me, told me that she had guys that are new in town. They're contractors, and that they're willing to remodel one of my places for free just to show their work and then hopefully to earn my trust to do business with them. That's how they came about.
Amazing.
So they're insisted on we're doing the place for free. So I was like, you know what? If they really insist and they get what they're trying to do, because I always tell people you should if you want to start a business with minimal capital, go offer people a service and show them, work hard. And it's the best thing that you can do without spending too much money is give your work. So I respected their intentions and I allowed them to do that. And they just won my heart. These guys just showed up at nighttime. And I was like, what's your plan? What hours are you going to work? Which I prepared. I said, we're just going to work until we finish. I was like, okay. So the way I was raised, got him some dinner, got him my Uzbeki food, the one that I like. Stopped by the bar, grabbed a bottle of vodka at the bar that I have here. It was upstairs, in my office upstairs. Dropped everything off. They finished the work in the morning. I came, and the rest was history. I was like, these guys became my family. We work together. They drive the entire country opening businesses for me. They're moving my apartment right now. They do warehouses for me. We do flips together. We do everything together. They're full-time with me. And these guys are and so when I was in Israel, they bought me a ticket to Georgia. The last time I went to Georgia, probably what you saw on my social media, I arrive in Georgia, I had no idea where I'm going. There's two guys picked me up from the airport, took me to the nicest hotel I've seen in Georgia, right in the heart of the Tbilisi. They told me, they asked me, do you want to go to dinner? Do you want to rest? I told them I wanted to sleep for an hour. I didn't sleep the night before. So they're hanging out. They picked me up on a Lexus. They waited outside. I went to sleep. I wake up. I see them smoking a cigarette outside my hotel just waiting for me. And I was like, whoa, who are these guys, And then I just came down. They picked me up. They drove me around, showed me the chief of police in Georgia, who showed me the nicest restaurants. And they just really know how to host. And they showed me so much respect. And these are complete strangers that just wanted to show me around because I take care of their family in America.
It's amazing.
The next day, the chief of police, government deputies, other people, we packed up a car with a minivan. We drove 2 hours. They took me 2 hours because they know I like guns and I like shooting. You could shoot there. And there was a park where you can shoot. So we shot guns. We show up, we arrive. We have another 10 guys waiting for me there. I've never met any single one of these people, and they're in their 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, men, not kids. And we arrive, and they're barbecuing for us to host a big dinner, and wine and cheeses and fruits and later meats. And
were they doing the kind of thing where they're putting meat into the ground?
Yeah, so I've heard of this before. It is a Georgian thing, but no, they were just barbecuing regular meat.
There's a couple of channels, these Caucasian channels. Well, they'll cook anything.
Yeah.
and they're putting them into the ground.
And then they're honoring the.
I have this babushka just cutting up a fucking camel and they go to, and it's beautiful. You see mountains in the background, and these videos are getting like 200 million views.
I'll show you later on my phone, and like the place where they picked me up. I couldn't believe that I'm there. I couldn't believe that so many people are there just for me, that they took their time off and just to host me and, to show respect and stuff. And I was blown away. And then that was just the second day. And then it went on and on. We went from town to town, seeing more and more friends at every place where we got to. We went to Borjomi, where the water comes from, Borjomi.
No.
There's water, there's like special, what are they called? Mayanot, we say in Hebrew. Springs, Borjomi Springs. So it's a big famous town. We arrived there. The mayor of Borjomi hosted me, showed me around, took the day off, took me like 3 hours in the mountains to some lake. Local people were waiting there for me with barbecue and I was just blown. I couldn't believe that's like some people in the middle of nowhere in the world are doing all of this stuff for a complete stranger.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you listened to me. You brought them into the fold. You
listen. I brought I brought their friends and family into the fold. Think about it. Let's say that me and you do some kind of business, and I do something really, really nice for you, and you're like, okay, wow, now I owe you something, and I want to take care of you back, that's fair, it makes sense. And then you tell me, go to New York, everything's gonna be taken care of. And I show up in New York, and for like 10 days, like different cousins and different brothers go way out of their way to like really show me around. Not just take me to dinner and pay, because it's time consuming, but it's easy. Like they go and cook for you and show you around. There's what you like,
There's something different about these other countries, though. Like you go to Albania, and the guy's uncle's like, of course, yes, and he cooks you a sheep in front of you. Like there's something about these poorer countries, especially when it comes to the food, they give you this kind of familial experience you don't forget. Here we'll take you to a nice restaurant, but there they'll go to their backyard and they'll cook you an animal.
Listen, I'm blessed and lucky to travel a lot of places. I've been to Mykonos, which is beautiful, Tulum with the nicest hotels and stuff. I've been to Italy, Madrid. I've been to Poland, all over, in other places in Canada. Anyways, I've gotten to do like the lavish Vegas and the Wayne Hotel. I've gotten to do the lavish trips. To me, like fun wise and like rewarding. I can't stop talking about Georgia all the time to anybody.
But there's also, bro, there's a vacation and there's adventure.
Yeah.
And I like a vacation. But we already kind of live in a vacation place.
We're in Miami.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course, there's other kinds of vacation. There's always going to be different places. Barbados, Tulum, Turks and Caicos, whatever. There's tons of places. DR, whatever. But there are countries that offer an adventure that's totally different. Like I want to go to Alaska. That's night and day from Miami. Totally different world. Okay. So awesome topic. How did you tell me the story of what happened? You've come a long way. What was the first business venture, and how did you end up in it?
So are you American? Were you born here?
I'm American.
So I'm first. I'm not even first generation. My kids are first generation. I'm an immigrant. I came from Israel, so as you can imagine, being a first generation immigrant, you have a lot of pressure on you to succeed. Your parents, my parents. So I was actually an immigrant twice in my life. So my parents had just moved to Israel, and they started from nothing. They were, my grandfather was a minister in communications of the country where they lived, and my parents grew up in a good life, and then they had to lose everything and start from scratch. And I was born right then. So I grew up like, not rich and not poor, just normal, but not extra. But let's say like that, and then. And then as soon as I was I don't remember how exactly I turned, but as soon as my parents got a little bit established, then we moved to America, started everything again from zero. So I just started from scratch twice as a kid. And so deciding not to pursue a career like medicine, like most of the Jewish parents that push you, or law or something like that, I kind of broke my parents' heart. I was like, they kind of were like, listen, we worked so hard to bring you. We sacrificed so much. We put an X in our life to give you everything. And now you're going to go and what are you going to do? So I told them, I was like, listen, I really have this like vision for myself. I really have this gut feeling that I meet people of high value and that are very intelligent and very smart. And I learned that I had this, growing up, but I really had this gut feeling that if they did it, I can do it also. Like that. I didn't think I was better than them, but I didn't think that they were better than me either. So I was like, well, I had these uncles that were and aunts that were like wealthy, and I was like, okay, like they're human beings just like us. They're in a different level. My parents are working so hard, struggling for money, and here comes these people that they're good people that they should apologize, but they're blowing off money and they have all these lavish things and all these things I dreamed for, and why not me? Like I feel like I deserve it also, So I put up my parents from going to school and going all this like the traditional routes, and I was just looking for opportunity. And I would just trial and error, and I would try and try and try. I tried selling multi-level marketing in different companies. I've tried doing different things, and I just failed over and over and over again until
How old were you at that point when you were first starting out?
Like 20, I would say like 21, 22.
Okay.
Yeah. So like 22, I was like, I was already with my wife. So I was, already not, would say not a kid, even though for me now, 20-year-olds are children, they're kids, but I was very mature for my age. I had to like survive and figure things out at a very young age. And a lot of my other friends at this age, some went to school and they had wealthy parents to pay off their lifestyle. And other ones went to do like some kind of a career. So like a lot of barbers and other friends. So they're making like a good income. So they're friends, they're making $10,000, $15,000 a month doing just a profession.
Right.
And I just didn't have it figured out. I would tell myself, like, if I settle for just I would call it like a Band-Aid solution, like that $10,000 job, that's it. I'm cooked. Like I'll get stuck there forever. So
it's the truest thing. So many people get stuck because they have a little bit more than they need, or maybe even more than a little more than they need. Let's say their expenses are $5,000 and their income's 10. They're like, 50% are expenses. So then I have 50%. But you get so comfortable, and then you're too scared to jump out of that, and just stay in that position forever.
That's exactly how I felt. And I was like, I had a lot of opportunities. I had a lot of offers for that, like $10,000, $15,000 ballpark, and I just wouldn't settle for it. And I was making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. People are, around my life. Like, you're crazy. Yeah. You're delusional. Like, you have a better opportunity. Okay, stop trying what you're doing.
Go find most people. Yeah.
Go for it. And thank God I didn't listen to them. I was like, you guys have no idea. I know that I have a plan. I have a vision. Like I'm lucky to like
until it works, everyone goes,
one thing. So this is a funny story, but I had this guy and this friend, Sam Grishkovich.
Oh wait, when did you get married?
So I got married. So my wife was staying from Israel. And she came when I was 20 years old. She was older than me. She was 26. And we were dating. And she had to go back to Israel because her visa would expire. And so we're dating. Like, we're together.
20 or 21?
Yeah. I was 21.
Wow. Okay. We're 5 years too.
Yeah. No, I was 20. She was 26. She's 6 years older.
Gotcha.
So like, yeah, she would have to leave to Israel. And I knew that we're going to get married. And I had the real intentions for her. So I was like, listen, we're going to get married anyways. We have one joint account. We have joint everything. Let's just get married. So when did I get married? At 20. We didn't have a big party and everything until I was later on in life, when I was 24, 25. Then we had like a big wedding, the traditional way with our parents.
You did not have a single 20s. That's it.
No 20s, man. Not even one. No time. It was after all. No 20. I got to party a little bit and like enjoy my late teens. So I don't have my sister.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And so I just wouldn't sell. I just had this vision. I wouldn't sell for anything. And my friend Sam gifted me on my birthday a tie by the Trump brand. And I had no idea who Trump was then. Nobody knew. I didn't know who Trump was. And I was like, what's this guy?
Bro, I knew him from Home Alone.
Yeah.
In the movie Home
Alone. Yeah, of course.
That's how I knew him.
I didn't even know that was Trump. Yeah, I know that he's in the movie, but
You know he's this rich white guy, you know?
I didn't even know. I've never even heard of his name.
No one knew, bro.
And I got a gift, Trump's brand tie for my birthday for this. And I was like, who's Trump? He said, what do you mean this? Whatever. So he tells me,
Let's keep this with this blue. That was phenomenal.
get you some more. So I get this tie. I look this guy up, and I find out that me and Trump have the same birthday. So it's June 14th, my birthday. I'm looking up Donald Trump. It's like Donald Trump, blah, blah. And then my birthday. And, statistically, actually I read about it later, but you're a lot more likely to find something in common, or like for someone to stick with you if they share a birthday with you. It's like a big deal, apparently. So because we had the same birthday, I really I don't know, I fell in love with his character and who he was, and I started learning his different quotes and stuff. And those 10 rules of success for Trump, where it's nobody will trust you, people will doubt you, people will try to talk you out, disappear, blah, blah. And then once he started to work, all of a sudden everybody comes back.
They don't want to know the secrets.
What's the secret and how lucky you are, and forget about it.
One thing that Trump said, and he said many things, but one thing that he said that really stuck with me is he says, your ability to handle pressure, your ability to function and operate under pressure is one of the most fundamentally important things to being highly successful.
I agree. I didn't even know he said that, but I say it also to my team all the time.
It's phenomenal. It is so, so, so true. And I'll be very blunt with you, man. I'm not a rich guy. Me personally, I'm not a rich guy, but I am very good under pressure. And I understand how fundamentally important that is, because so many people will be in a position, maybe they're in a position financially, or they're early on in their business and they're not sure of themselves and there's doubt. They might have their mom, their father, their uncle, their aunt, their sister, their wife, whoever, saying things in their ear like, I don't know about this, you've been trying this for a while, da-da-da.
So Rafi, let me ask you this. Define pressure, and I'll tell you what I mean. So there's wrestling pressure. When you said you tried jiu-jitsu, so imagine Wagner Rocha on top of you, black belt. That's pressure. That's pressure. All of us will tap in a second. Then there is parent pressure, what I was under. And then there's real pressure. Real pressure is when I had to leave my daughter because of work, and she's crying, holding my leg and saying, "Daddy, don't go," and I have to go. That's you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that, I'm not doubting your pressure. I know your background a little bit, but I'm just saying there's when people talk about business and pressure, there's levels of business and pressure. There is I have the quick, safe way to feed my children and my family, or I have my non-promised plan that nobody guarantees you nothing. And when I talk about pressure, I'm not talking about my parents, but my parents, pressuring me was and I'm not saying that that's what you said, but I'm just saying there's pressure and then there's pressure. It's different levels of pressure, and I think for business, when you learn how to handle pressure, when you trust your gut and you're listen, I know who I am, and I know that I've figured it out so many times before, and I'll figure this one out too. That's, for me, that's what handling pressure means, and I'm sure that, I didn't mean to say that there's pressure that, you understand what I say?
I understand.
Totally. As a guy, as a man, I can tell you that nothing in this world at this point in my life scares me even close in business or in anything in comparison to when it comes to my family and my kids. That's when it becomes I feel I feel that's when you really learn what toughness, what real pain is. Someone would come and punch me in the face. I do it for a living. I pay people to come wrestle and fight with me. That's not a problem. If a landlord called me and said, listen, your business hadn't paid rent for X amount of time, we're going to pass it to legal department, which I've had before. And it wasn't intentional. The business was just failing. That sucked, but that wasn't. But when it starts coming to family and especially with children, maybe for me only, but I think for anybody, I think as a man, where your job as a man in the planet and from the get-go is to protect and provide, and then we fail at one of these, protect or provide. Imagine God forbid, I feel so bad for the October 7th people with all the story that happened, but I thought to myself, if I wasn't able to protect my kids, I'd prefer to die.
Right.
If I can't provide for my family, that's pressure. That's like, that's what like a real.
Because what's it all for? Meaning, what's it all for? At the end of the day, it feels nice to have the money and have the material goods, have the, have a nice car, nice house, nice fire, whatever it is that you like to collect and have, and people honor you and respect you. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the right relationships, whether that's your boys or that's a loving wife, loving kids, what's it all for? Nothing. It's all worthless.
So I call it, I think we spoke about it before, I call it the 3 Fs. This is not what I learned.
Family, Ferrari, and food.
No Ferrari. I didn't get to where I wanted to be or where I'm at and then figured it out. I knew it from the beginning and I stuck to that the whole time. But the 3 Fs is my fitness, my family, and my finances as the 3 things. Fitness, family, finances. So fitness for me is not about a body shape. And not about like looking in the mirror saying, oh, I got a 6-pack or I'm jacked or big or whatever. Fitness for me is physical performance. How I perform, right. How fast I can run, how much weight I can lift, how I can protect or be the protector for my family that I need to be. Like if someone, we all have this fight or flight instinct. I said it before and I'm saying it again. Our job, I believe, my whole world, the way I was raised by my Kafkazi or whatever, Central Asian, the Tashkent, whatever parents, is your whole purpose. They would always say, me growing up, would always say, men don't need to be handsome. There's a Russian saying, men needs to be a little bit prettier than a monkey. Man doesn't need to be handsome. Man needs to have manly qualities, which is to protect your family and provide for your family. So for me, fitness is about protecting my family and having that ability for a fight or flight situation to move forward and not run away from my family. So that was always for me core. So I train always, my wife was like, oh, are you going to the gym? You're like, oh, we're doing it for us. And she's like, what are you talking about? You're doing it for you. I'm like, listen, you don't understand why I go to the gym. I don't go like the bodybuilders and do this like slow. I go so I know that every place I go to, I feel confident with my family. That's fitness. Family's family. I feel like, every human being, you're born, your soul, Jewish people believe your soul is split in half. And then when you get married, you find your other half. That's the only way to be whole. If you haven't got married yet, then it's okay. You're still waiting for your other half. But if you don't believe in marriage, then in my opinion, it could be a problematic lifestyle because you'll never be whole if you don't have that family. That's just my view of things. So that's for family. And then for finances is, unfortunately, I'm actually, listen, I have, for the last 15 years, I lived with a dream board. So like, I'm very big into manifesting like my goals and it's to a point where for me, it's like a specific science. And I have a little dream board video. That video begins with me and my family. Then there's a bunch of goals, business, material, and it ends with me and Georgian and a horse. So to me, this is success. Success is being free.
Horseback riding was a phenomenal experience. Right outside Tel Aviv, there was this guy, Sinai, this Temani guy, and he had a farm and he had these horses, and I remember it. First time I galloped in the field, huge field.
That is the fast, right? Fast. I've never done it before. I really wanted.
Fast, right? And then the second time, about 2 months later, I stood up. Like I stood on the horse, galloped on the horse. I was just missing a sword, bro. I felt like $1 million just flying through a huge thing of grass. No helmet, no nothing. Just, I would do it right now.
I can imagine.
I would love it, man.
I can imagine.
It's one of the most freeing feelings. It's powerful too. It's amazing.
I can imagine.
So, okay. So, all of this, amazing conversation. The blue label doesn't hurt either, bro.
It helps with it helps for bringing in.
Dude, 100%. So, you've mentioned that you've had failures in business. What are some quickly, like, run through them kind of quickly of some challenges you've had? Not to ignore them. I want them to be mentioned, but some failures that stick out in your head, and then what you learned in order to kind of pivot and say, okay, I fucked up. This cost me. Now I'm going to make different decisions, and those decisions.
So let me restructure your question. So there, you can't anticipate everything. There's nothing you can learn and say, okay, that's it. Of course, you learn from your mistakes and you don't repeat them. The biggest lesson I learned from failures in business is that you have to fail. You have to fail, period. And you're not going to fail once. You have to fail as you go. And a fail could be big fail. I lost everything, lost my business, and I'm outside naked. Or it could be I just tried this specific project in my big business and it didn't work out. Or I just tried an ad or an offer. Failing is part of growth and part of business. If there was no fail, there would be no changes in growth. In my company, between my partners and the decision makers in my company, I am the biggest person in my company on risk taking and failing. And I fail more than I win. I try and fail and I used to be embarrassed about my fails. You know, I would tell my dad, "Oh, I have this big idea, blah, blah." And then I would try it, it would fail, and then be like, "Oh, what's your idea?" Oh. And then he didn't get it. But today, where I'm at in life, I've learned that without these fails, you know, I failed. Let's say you do 10 different tests, trying 10 different things. I failed at 8 of them, and each one cost me X amount of money. But the 2 that I won, that I didn't fail, was a home run. And that covered all of these losses and more. Yes. And so I'm the person on my team where my home runs, nobody wants to risk what I risk, but everybody enjoys my home runs. Well, I don't mind. For me, I don't care about what other people, I'm tunnel vision on myself. But those fails are must to have. The biggest lesson for business for me is that the fastest you embrace these fails and you're willing to take them, the more you're going to grow. It's like bicycle. It's like you have your left foot on and you're scared, and you put your right foot on and you're scared and you're trying to balance it. You're like, I don't want to fall right or left. And the moment that you just let go, that's when you learn how to ride a bike. And the reason most people, like if you see how the money in the world is distributed, I think Alex Hormozi talked about it and gave like a illustration. If you had $100 bill, 10% would go to the bottom 40. Like $10 would go to the 40% of the bottom. Another $10 would go to the 40%. So he pretty much explained that most of the money most of the wealth in the world is distributed between a small amount of people.
Right.
And it's just the people that made that first push and weren't scared to fall, and then they took off. So that's my biggest, like, it's not a specific fail. I can tell you a story how I ordered a container from China. I split it with another person. My customs got cleared. His customs didn't get cleared. The whole container was held in customs, and I lost all of the trade show that I reserved for that container. And I have a million stories like this. But it's not about what I learned from, so the lesson from the story, don't split a container with customs. I can give you a million examples like that. But it's not about the specific fail and the specific lesson that I learned. It's about the fact that I embrace failure. I love failing because I know that gets you closer to the home run.
That's so true.
You know?
Man, I've had some failures, bro, but it's worth every.
I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them. I'll talk about them all day long. I'm not embarrassed by them. I'm not embarrassed about money I lost. If you have the right integrity, if you're a good person and you have the right intentions and you know that this failure, like I'll give you an example. If you relapsed or someone fell to drugs and failed because they were high or partying or didn't give their best, that's horrible. That's embarrassment. But if you gave your best to your business and you're putting your life and soul into it and then you failed, there's no embarrassment. There's embarrassment on not trying.
I agree.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. So what was the first business? I mean, was the healthcare the first thing?
So I used to sell the Dead Sea skincare stuff.
Sure. I got lots.
Yes. And so actually I got into business from I used to work in this location in Orlando. There was the only one single store in Orlando. And my wife and I didn't want to live like in a shared apartment with other people because we're already at that point married and we want privacy. And so we got our own apartment, signed up, committed to a lease. I remember it was like $1,600 a month for a 1-bedroom. It was the biggest lease I've ever seen or signed in my life. Signed the lease. The next day, I got the owner of the place that I was working for was very disrespectful. Me and him got into an argument. I quit. And then he tried to apologize and bring me back and different things like that. But the essence of the argument hurt me so bad. I was like, I'm not working for this guy no matter what. Like, I'll have to figure it out. And I just had signed a lease for a whole year. And there's no other place to work. I didn't have any savings. And so I started looking for a job in trade shows. Because trade shows, you could fly all over the country. They fly you out. You sell the equipment for 3 days. Then you fly back. So my friend told me about this option. And I got the opportunity by a girl that flew me to a place. I think we went from Orlando with my wife to, it was Oregon. We flew across the whole country, like 2 connection flights, like 10 hours. And we went to sell. And we sold for 3 days. A lot. I was already in the industry, just in a different platform. We're doing it in malls. Now this was trade shows. We sold for this girl. This girl didn't speak good English, didn't have a driver license, didn't even know if she was a citizen. I don't know. I mean, she's a great person. She was a good friend. But I looked at the situation. I was like, are you kidding me? Remember, I told you before, like, I think like these people are good, but I think I could do the same, maybe better. I was like, I can definitely do better. Like, there's no chance I could not. And I flew back home and I was like, to my wife, I was like, listen, I don't know where we're going to get the money from. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're opening our own trade show business. And we opened.
Yeah.
And that was in 2015. That was 11 years ago. 10 and a half years ago. And we opened our own business. I spent my last savings in inventory, bought, some stuff, booked us a trade show. And we went to sell on the trade shows. That stuff that I ordered, that was our first business.
And you were just selling away.
So it was the first client. I was already in the industry for like 2 or 3 years at that point. And the first client, I did the same exact job 1,000,000 times for someone else. Everything was perfect. Now I'm doing it for myself. My hand was shaking. I didn't have the guts to put that credit card in the credit card, but in the merchant. But the moment the first sale went through, I was like, oh my God, now I didn't make 10% commission. I made 90% profit. I was never the same person again, ever in my life. I was like, there's no chance I will ever work for someone else, ever. I mean, if you have to for a short period of time until we said I did have later on some issues. I went to work for someone else for a few weeks until I saved up some money. But it's...
Even if you have to do that, the mindset always stays there. It's like always there. The feeling of like, I have to do my own thing. It's always there.
When you understand it, and now business is a formula. And that's where I really wanted to touch with today. Business is a formula. It's like math. It's plug and play. If you have an x squared plus y squared equals xy squared or whatever, just an example, and it's a plug and play formula. Business is a formula. You can be in the skincare industry, you can be in the, whatever industry, it's the same formula. Once you learn it, you can't unlearn. Once it's like those like images where like they say like if you see it, you can't unsee it, and you saw you like only focus on that. Once you learn how business works, you can't unlearn it.
Right.
It's just you'll never go back. And I highly encourage every single person to try. It's not for everybody. Some people just, I have a lot of responsibility. I have a lot of stress. I have a lot of disappointments. I missed a lot of birthdays, things. But at the same time, I love that feeling of doing something for my parents or for my family or giving back and being the ability of that. It's not, you were mentioning like the fitness Ferrari. I know you were joking, but there's not a single thing that you can buy with money that's going to make you even close as happy to when you do something and give back or buy some or pay the bill. I love paying the bill. I my friends or some people I know would split the bill or debate the bill or who, but one of my favorite feelings is paying the bill. It's the best feeling on the planet. I insist on paying the bill. I feel weird when people pay the bill for me. I don't like. I love paying the bill. I love tipping people, high tips. I love spoiling people. That's what I like money for that. That feeling for me is like
feels really nice, man. It really does.
It's the best. It's the best. We had for the way we met. For my father-in-law, they confused the dates. They didn't know when they were sure it's usually early in March, but the Jewish year, we had a leap year this year with like an extra adal bet. So it was actually on the day of, midday. They're like, okay, today is Daskara. We need to figure something out. So I called some friends, arranged the shul, the synagogue. And I was like, that kid could bring some snacks or like cheese. Or I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I didn't know anybody. I came with my son. You remember?
Yeah.
I was like, let me get some nice sushi platters and salads and good stuff for everyone.
Well, you didn't even have anyone in mind. You just showed up to the place. Was
by myself. With my son. Me and my son. To honor my father-in-law. Didn't know a single person. Eric, my accountant, came to support me later, halfway. But they tell you, they say, listen, the point is the prayer, and the point is to just, you can bring any like the Chaim or whatever. Are you kidding me? These random people are gonna have dinner with my table. Let me spoil them.
Like these sushi? You speaking my language, dude.
Yeah, it was just sushi. It was like their premium platter with like a really nice salad.
This is good.
But the fact that people stayed and ate and enjoyed that's what makes me happy. That's my why.
And you had that debate with that dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more you debating and me making sure you heard him. I was a debate, but I wasn't. I saw with what you're with your passion.
Yeah.
So,
We could talk about it at some point. But yeah, he was getting me going, but it was all love. I just wanted to bring him to reality. But
I think he wasn't wording himself. He was a very extreme person. He was saying stuff that I wasn't necessarily disagreeing with. He was just, the way he was wording himself was very aggressive. And to someone who served or to someone that gave back so much, it's very offensive. Right. So I saw exactly what was happening. I was like, what's
funny? I wasn't even taking it personally. It was more of like, I understood him and I wanted to figure out the missing pieces, because all the puzzle pieces were on the table, but they weren't being put together. And what I was trying to do is I was trying to be like, hey bro, you have puzzle pieces, I have puzzle pieces. Let's put them together. Now they're really lopsided and they're on opposite sides of the table. I'm cool with you. We're cool. Let's try to put this puzzle together. And I realized that puzzle could take weeks to put together.
He was also, it felt like, I can gauge someone's pain and I can gauge someone's based on their, he was very aggressive.
But it wasn't aggressive. You see, here's the difference. What I see from almost a physiological standpoint is like, you and I are not afraid of physical situations. We're not afraid of violence. We've experienced it. He's somebody probably that hasn't and isn't comfortable in that environment. So in a sense, we see Judaism from a point of strength. He sees Judaism from a point of shalom, shalva. Everything needs to be quiet and peaceful all the time. You and I are used to conflict. We've experienced conflict. We don't go out of our way for it.
I can sit with you or anybody. Yeah. I think anybody. I could say confidently, and completely disagree on something.
Right.
And be talking to zero. Right. Complete. But listen, let's agree. I would use probably something and say, let's agree that we're not going to agree on this, or let's agree to disagree. And it's all good. There would be no disrespect. Never. There would be no raising voices or aggressive, body language or just be like, listen, I don't agree with you. Now you can say all you want, whatever. And afterwards, I'd still be okay with shaking your hand and showing you around and inviting you.
It's a lot of it comes from the inside, bro.
It's all about confidence, 100%.
You don't have to go out of your way to prove a point or to over-defend or to over-protect. You understand that you have certain abilities and you have certain experiences, and those experiences and abilities, they show up outward. People can see them. People can feel them. So they treat you a certain way. But when you have a certain kind of energy, whether he looks a certain, I like the guy, but he has a certain look physically, right? He isn't strong. He doesn't look confident. So there's going to be an overcompensation. You feel me? So the whole energy of the interaction.
Here, if you allow me, I'll give you we say like a building point or like a, whatever. But have you read of the book, The Art of War?
Sun Tzu. I haven't.
Yeah, the Sun Tzu. Must read. This is like I have
I've
a little library.
seen snippets of it.
So this is the read book. And one of the points that they talk about is like when you corner someone, like when you put them to the side, create a small escape route for them or allow them like a escape route, because if you're going to corner them to death, they'll fight to death. Like they'll fight harder if they don't have an escape route. Right. So my point that I'm trying to make, and this is just a suggestion to you and you can do whatever with it, is that with big power comes big responsibility. Me, like a lot of the people, a lot of my circle that knows me, yes, they say, "Oh, you could be a teddy bear, or you're such a sweet guy." I'm like I calm people down, and it's because of fear of conflict. Except I don't fear of conflict because of the person. I fear of conflict because
yourself,
of myself. And so, a suggestion to you, you being a big guy and strong and your experience, and then you have to be. With that big power comes big responsibility. Sure. So like sometimes when people like that, with me, that what something at this point today in my life, I have too much to lose. I have my family, I have my businesses. I can't afford. I used to love getting into fights and arrests. And
well, I tell you in that predicament specifically, I had all love for him.
Yeah,
I had no desire
no, I know. Me seeing from the side, I know that.
I actually just wanted to be. I was like, you're my brother. You're a little misguided.
Yeah,
there was no.
No, I know, but I saw it. I could tell. I could tell that you would never. We have another saying in Russian is like a soldier will never hurt a child.
Yeah.
Or like a tough person, like a decent tough person will never hurt you're never gonna bully someone or like hurt. I knew you're not gonna do anything, but. If I was you in a situation similar, or when I was in a situation similar, if I see someone that I'm so much more powerful than, and we argue, then I step down first. I and then say, like I give him that room to say, what, maybe you're right, maybe I'm the wrong one.
Right.
And not necessarily because that's what I think sometimes. It's just because I want to be the bigger person or the strong. It's you see what I mean?
Remember, I actually said
at the end it was no.
I said we agree probably on more than we don't.
I think because right before he started talking, you were telling me that you served in Kyiv or whatever your background is, and then you started talking about this IDF and I was like, listen, to someone that gave his time in his life, or maybe it's I don't know, whatever could be the situation. It could be very offensive to hear that, and like
bro, it rolled off the shoulder
for just a split moment. I was like, "This guy's gonna punch him in the face." I gotta like make sure that they're okay. Now,
it rolled off the shoulder. It didn't even.
That's great. That's good. That's a good quality to have. I work really hard
because I know
not to get aggressive or not to intimidate people.
I don't think the guy is malicious. I think he just has a very strong belief. I don't think he is trying to disrespect me. I just said it was. So I wasn't mad at him. I was like, we're cool. And there's great sushi, so I could be mad.
Yeah, of course. That's interesting. I'm curious for you, but I know that I'm sure that on your show, I've heard about you a lot, but I'm just curious briefly, like about your background. How did you get to Israel?
Most of my family lives in Israel. I have like 200 relatives. My mother's side is Jewish. My father's side is like Catholic, Italian, Greek, maybe a little bit of Irish and other things. They're just half and half.
They're big family on your father's side?
I don't know how they're not. I don't think they're very big.
I don't know too many non-Jewish people. And I've always wondered, like, do non-Jews have the same community and like holidays and connection like we do?
To some extent.
Like, do they have like get-togethers and stuff?
The non-Jewish side of the family is they're very together. They're great. I only met them a couple of years ago.
Actually?
Yeah. I only know them for like 4 years. Yep. My Jewish side is mostly in Israel. They mostly live in the Shtachim and the settlements. Very, very, very Zionist, Zionist.
I was right about my concern. I'm joking.
So, there's a lot to talk about. My family story is a lot, man.
And you grew up in New York?
I grew up in New York, yeah.
Flatbush, you said?
Flatbush. My grandmother raised me. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We'll talk about it, bro. I'd love to come on another show. The problem is people don't have attention spans.
Yeah.
So we could talk for 4 or 5 hours. People are not going to sit here and listen to 4 or 5 hours.
Listen, I think that I feel like today's, I surf the web, I watch podcasts, I listen to highlights of different things, like see Andrew Tate all the time. Instead of saying good stuff, I was saying crazy stuff. Right. And, there's this guy that you interviewed, Shapiro or something. Mark Shapiro.
Just had the Tates.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
And then I was really happy when the Tate said that if they would live anywhere in the States, it would be Miami. I've been saying this for like 15 years, like since the first day I landed, yeah.
Well, it's funny because people love to hate on Jews because it's trendy. But when you look at cities and states that are run by Jewish people, they tend to have the best balance. They're not perfect, but they have the best balance. You look at Dubai. Dubai they might be very strict on crime, but they're not going to have the same freedoms. It's a monarchy. It's not a democracy. You're not going to have the same freedoms. Now, you might have certain things that Miami doesn't have, but ultimately, when you look at the major cities in the United States that have massive Jewish influence, and you could argue New York has its issues and California has its issues, but when California was booming, California was booming. When New York was booming, New York was booming. Miami is now the hub. Jewish people provide so much wealth, influence, hospitality, nightlife, and it's just in a way where it's like, if you want to work all the time and not party, you can do that. At South Florida, if you don't want to be a degenerate drug addict, sex addict, you can go and work and live in paradise, have a family, and do your thing. If you want to be a degenerate gambling drug addict or whatever, it's available to you.
You could do it in the middle of the desert if you wanted to.
You have the freedom to do it, but it's a great place to live.
The best. I've been to, because of my trade shows, I've been to 43 states. I've been north of 10, probably more than 15 countries, the big ones. I haven't been to Asia anywhere, but I wouldn't live anywhere else except for Miami.
It's wonderful.
In Miami, I mean like Aventura, Sunny Isles, Hollywood, like all the way to Boca, that area.
Yeah.
Those like the old pictures where you used to post like what your friends think you're doing, what your parents think you're doing, what you're really doing. So like all my friends that I grew up with, I know that I met in Miami. They're sure I'm like on a yacht with a cigar, partying. My parents think I'm like not, doing some kind of like something shady or like monkey business, and then in reality, I'm just in my office working. I came here and just tripled down on work. The energy here and the desire to succeed and the network and the magnitude of people you meet here, I haven't seen another place. I have seen New York has a lot of very intelligent people, hard workers and stuff. But you give up on like half of the year on the weather, and you give up on life quality and lifestyle and a bunch of other stuff. And if you want to like talk about like a place that has it all, like time off and hobbies and family time and success and stuff, is Miami for me. But not Miami forever. Miami in the last 5-6 years. That's like, the real, for me, the real.
Outside of Israel, I couldn't imagine living in a better place.
I wouldn't live anywhere else.
It's the best. Okay, well, listen, bro, I could talk to you for another 4 hours. There's so many things I can talk to you about, and I look forward to having another episode, to hanging out with you off of the show. The whiskey's been amazing. The buzz is awesome. The conversation's great. Really, I'm having a blast, bro. Really, it's great getting to know you. I think if you have anything you want to add, please feel free. Otherwise, just...
I want to add one more thing if you allow me.
Go ahead.
You can cut it out if you don't want. But we have a wrestling club in Sunny Isles. We train every day at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's covered by me and a few of my friends that can afford. It's free or pay as you want. So if you want to support the team, you can pay as much as you like. If you don't want to pay anything at all, it's perfectly fine. We train everybody, especially Jewish guys, from 15, 16 all the way to 50 are welcome to come. We encourage you to come. We have Olympic... I actually invited him, but he couldn't make it. We have an Olympic level coach that's training Yoel Romero and a bunch of guys for wrestling, for conditioning, for fitness, and just amazing brotherhood. It's a great place to network, to get healthier, stronger, meet, business guys and family guys and good guys. And I just want to invite anybody, my Jewish brothers, non-Jews, anybody's welcome. They'll be amazing. All invited. We call it, you can find us on Instagram. We call ourselves the Tank Factory, Sunny Isles Tank Factory. And I hope that if we get one good thing out of the show is that we have more and more guys coming in training.
Phenomenal. I'm down. I'm going to come 100%.
For me, it'll be amazing. Even if you get only you alone, that'll be it all day.
I'm in, bro. I'm in for sure.
Thank you.
All right. right.
I hope after the buzz goes off, you still remember the promise.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
of course. No, as far as Tank Factory goes?
Tank Factory, yeah.
Yeah,
Training.
dude, why not?
Amazing training.
Ladies and gents, this has been another episode of the Soothing Semantics podcast. Of course, for all of your South Florida real estate needs, make sure to follow me at Rafi the Realtor. Sign up to the newsletter. Get in touch with me. It would be a pleasure to help you. Of course, check out the Tank Factory. Get your martial arts on point. If you've wanted to take on some sort of self-defense, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, etc., make sure to give it a gander. I'm definitely going to do it. I'm not somebody who says something and doesn't do it. I am a man of my word, so I look forward to it. That is that. It's a wrap. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Cool.